left a clever young girl called Shahrazad.
And her daughter, who was the vizier, the chief advisor to the king. The vizier loved both of his daughters very much.
Dinazad was as kind, loyal, and true as any girl her age.
But Shahrazad was courageous, bold, and shrewd well beyond her years.
And there was nothing she liked better to do than to read stories. Stories of enchanted caves,
Flesh-eating wolves,
talking birds,
and flying men.
and night after night, Shahrazad would keep her little sister awake by filling her head with these stories.
When suddenly, a huge bird dropped there in a valley full of trees, sighs, slimy snakes.
Now, children, it's getting very late.
Oh, please, Father, please let Shahrazad finish.
We're near the end now.
Oh, very well. The end of this story, and then bed.
But no matter how many times Shahrazad told these stories, she never forgot a word because she was gifted with a perfect memory.
It's called Sharaya. Sharaya was a great leader, courageous, big-hearted, and strong. By his enemies he was feared, but by his people he was loved.
And the heart of the palace was singing with his laughter.
One day the king was at the palace window, overlooking the garden, and suddenly a secret door opened. I trusted my wife as I trusted the ground beneath my feet. Curse land! Curse the world! And curse all women! Now the king is strengthened by the vizier, as the body is by the back.
Sharaya went to the vizier and said, "Take that wife of mine here to be put to death."
The vizier did this, for if he did not, he himself would be put to death.
The gates to the king's heart were locked like a prison.
And the halls of the palace were as silent as a tomb.
And the king gave his word that from now on, he would marry one girl for just one night. And at sunrise the next morning, he would order his vizier to bring in the headsman to cut off their head. He continued to do this for 1,000 nights.
Till 1,000 young girls perished.
And every morning he would say to himself that there is not one single good woman anywhere on the face of this earth.
By now, Shahrazad had grown up into a wise, refined, and beautiful young woman.
Dinazad had grown up too.
And one day the vizier returned home from the palace, his head weighed heavy with worry.
Why are you looking so lost, Father?
I'm just a little tired, that's all.
I hate to see you carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders.
I've devoted my life in service to the king and God.
The king is not in service to God when he kills innocent young women.
The king is always in service to God, for God has chosen him to be king.
Even when he breaks God's laws,
The law is whatever the king wills it to be.
then the sun shall set in our city forever. Father, I have a favor to ask you, and I hope you will grant me it.
I will not refuse, as long as it is just and reasonable.
I have a plan to save the daughters of our city.
Your aim, my daughter, is admirable. But the king's sickness is beyond the help of any man. How could you hope to cure it?
I want you to marry me to the king. I want you to marry me to the king tonight.
Is this your idea of a joke?
No.
You've been reading too many stories, my child.
Trust me, Father. Let me heal the king.
Silence, or I'll send you to your room. Dinner's in. Tell your sister.
I think she means it, Father.
Father, if I succeed, I could save the lives of thousands. And if I die an honorable death. Marry me to the king tonight.
And tomorrow,
I will face it when it comes.
the headsman's blade is sharp. The palace grounds are stained red with blood. The sky above that palace is dotted black with vultures.
There are some things more important than life, Father.
There is nothing more important than my daughter's life.
What about the lives of all those other daughters? Aren't they important too?
How dare you say that to me? I thought of nothing else for months.
Father, on Friday, we were on our way to the mosque for noon prayers, and there was a woman, a mother. She was pleading with the guards, clasping their ankles and kissing their feet at the palace gate. You should have heard her cries. It was awful.
I don't want you going out anymore. You two pray at home from now on.
And in the marketplace, there was one man, red with rage he was. Blood must flow for the life of my daughter, he was saying. Death to the king!
God, spare.
I'm begging you, Father, and I will never stop begging you until you do as I ask. As sure as moon follows sun and sun follows moon, I will beg and beg until you marry me to the king.
I will never marry you to the king.
Very well. Then you leave me with no choice. I shall go to him myself.
Silence!
And I will tell him that I asked you to marry me to him, but that you refused, that you begrudged him your daughter and disobeyed his will.
Who are you? Are you my daughter?
Yes, the daughter you instructed to love God, the merciful in all of her thoughts and needs. The daughter you instructed to put others before herself.
The daughter whom I told to respect and obey her father.
Father, please stop. Listen to me. Please. I will go to the king, but you will never have to take me to the headsman. I promise. I swear in the name of God himself.
They all think they'll be saved. You're not the first.
Have I ever lied to you? Have I ever made a promise I couldn't keep? Have I ever overreached myself or been unrealistic? Have I?
You're a child.
I am your daughter, and I will love you until the seas dry up. I will honor you until the stars fall out of the sky and the earth itself crumbles to dust. But I have my own destiny that has been shaped by God, and I must be allowed to follow it in accordance to God's law. And there is no law higher than that. No law higher than that, not that of a king, nor that of a father.
It is your return to the palace to tell the king of his daughter's request.
Vizier, do you love your daughters?
I love them, as the thirsty traveler loves the oasis, as the fish loves the sea and the owl loves the night. The two of them are the very air I breathe.
And yet you are prepared to marry her off with death. You must realize that I cannot make any exceptions here, for I have given my word, and the king's word is as precious as water.
I've explained this to her, my lord, and yet she will still be with you tonight.
With all due respect, Vizier, your daughter must either be a half-wit or shrewd.
She is neither, my lord. She's just very determined.
And what about you, Vizier? Do you really have the courage, the heartlessness to bring her to the headsman tomorrow?
There are some things more important than human life, my lord.
Such as?
Loyalty, honesty, service.
Go to her, prepare her, and bring her to me at nightfall.
I am and will always be your humble servant, my lord.
Very well, Vizier.
The vizier returned home to tell his daughter of the king's will.
Then Shahrazad said to her little sister, "Now, Dinarzad, listen carefully to what I have to say. When I go to the king tonight, I will send for you to stay with me in my bridal chamber. An hour before daybreak, you must wake me and ask me to tell you a story. Do you understand?"
Sister, I'll do all I can to help you.
At nightfall, the vizier led Shahrazad to the palace of great King Shahryar. May heaven not deprive me of you.
Uncover your veil. You are very beautiful. Why? Why are you crying?
I have a sister, and I would like her to stay with me here tonight so that I might say goodbye to her one last time.
Shahryar agreed, and Dinarzad was sent for.
Who came with all possible speed.
The king and the queen then got into a bed, raised very high.
And Dinarzad lay on some cushions on the floor underneath. An hour before daybreak, Dinarzad said, "Sister, if you're not too sleepy, tell me one of your strange and wonderful stories to while away the night, for I don't know what might happen to me tomorrow."
May I have permission to tell you a story, my lord?
You may.
Very well. Listen. In a city in Assyria, there lived two brothers. One was called Hasib, and the other was Ali Baba. When their father died, he left them an equal share of the little that he had, but fortune was not among his there. Hasib married a rich widow who owned a shop bursting with fine goods, and he soon became a wealthy man, a knight of all trades. Ali Baba, on the other hand, married a humble widow, and together, in their small home, they were dirt poor. Because of this, Ali Baba was forced to make a living chopping wood in the nearby forest. Day after day, deep in the heart of the forest, he would chop and chip and hack and split until his back ached and his hands blistered, and the sun was so low in the sky he could barely see made of his axe. Then he would gather the wood to sell on the market he had taken.
One day, when Ali Baba was in the forest, he noticed in the distance a vast cloud of dust. When he came closer, he saw that the horseman running towards him at great speed. Ali Baba was suspicious. He quickly clambered up a tall, close-knit tree where he could see without being seen.
Dismount!
Ali Baba counted the men and found that they numbered 40. From the dead eyes and shining daggers, he guessed that they were bandits.
The one he took for the captive crept under the tree and out towards the cliff. Open sesame! Close sesame!
Ali Baba froze in the tree like a falcon fixed on his prey.
Open sesame!
And the 40 thieves appeared again.
Close sesame!
Each thief mounted his horse and galloped off into the dust.
Open sesame! Ali Baba was astonished to find a bright, airy cavern carved out of the rock like a holy dome of a mosque. Inside was a landscape of limitless riches, islands of sparkling treasure, set in rivers of rich silks and brocades. And above all, mountains upon mountains of sacks and purses, bursting with shimmering gold and silver coins. Ali Baba realized that this cavern had been a hiding place, not for years, but for centuries, for generation after generation of thieves. Ali Baba quickly scooped up as many coins as he could bear, and when he was ready to leave, he called out, "Open sesame!" "Close sesame!" Ali Baba disguised the coins in firewood to prevent them from being seen, and set off for home. "Wife, look at this."
Oh, Ali Baba, what have you done? Just because you're poor doesn't give us the right to steal. If you get caught, they'll cut off your head. If they cut off your head, you can't chop any wood. If you can't chop any wood, you can't get any money. If you can't get any money, you can't have any food. If you can't have any food, we starve. If we starve,
"Oh, wife!
oh, how could you? You ruined everything. You lied, you stole it, you put
Calm
it in.
down!
How could you? How could you? How could you?
Oh, keep quiet! Wait till you hear what just happened. Ali Baba told her his adventures from beginning to the end, and they agreed to keep the whole story as secret as the mystery of the Sphinx.
We're rich! 1, 2, 3, 4.
Don't be a dope wife. It will take all week to get this lot counted. We must bury the gold. I'll take a hole in the garden.
No, it's no use. I simply must know how big our fortune is. I know. I'll roll the purse and skills of your brother-in-law. And, well, I weigh the gold. You can dig the hole.
If you insist. But remember, he who is silent is safe.
Ali Baba's wife fluttered over to her brother-in-law cousin, who lived nearby. As he was at home, she asked his wife if she could kindly lend her some scales.
Oh, certainly. Wait here while I fetch them. Now, the sister-in-law knew that Ali Baba was as poor as a pebble and immediately smelt a rat. The two of them can barely afford any rice or food. What the devil could they have enough of that needs to be weighed? So, in order to catch them out, she greased the inside of the pan of the scales. Oh, I'm sorry, my dear. The servants had mislaid them.
And so Ali Baba's wife rushed home, scales in hand, and began to weigh the gold. And so, while Ali Baba buried the gold, she returned the scales, saying, "Sister, I said I would only be a while. I'm as good as my word. I'm much obliged."
What's this? Ali Baba has enough gold coins to fill a pair of scales. Where did the penniless pauper get it from? Cassim's wife couldn't wait to tell her husband the news, but she had to button her lip till he returned from his shop that evening. Cassim, you think yourself a wealthy man, but you are mistaken. Ali Baba has far more money than you. He doesn't count his gold as you do. He weighs it.
Instead of feeling happy for his brother's good fortune, Qasim was stricken with deadly jealousy and couldn't sleep awake all night. The next morning, he marched straight over to his brother's house. Ali Baba, my wife found this stuck to the scales you borrowed yesterday. I demand an explanation.
Ali Baba realized that, thanks to his dizzy wife, Qasim had discovered their secret. So rather than risking all the thieves' gold, he struck a deal. He would tell Qasim where he had found the treasure, if Qasim would promise to share it equally, and never to tell a soul.
Determined to get the treasure first, Qasim set off and followed the directions Ali Baba had given him, until he reached the cliff. Open sesame! Close sesame! His eyes pored over the riches inside, which were beyond his wildest dreams. Greed and longing so possessed him that he spent the day in open-mouthed wonder, and clean forgot till evening that he had come to take some of the treasures away. At last he snapped out of his trance, and dragged as many sacks as he could to the door. Open Sultana! Open sardine. Open semolina. The more he searched for the word, the more it escaped him, until the fire of his greed was extinguished by waves of icy dread.
By nightfall, the thieves returned to their cabin and noticed empty trunks piled at their entrance.
The captain crept towards the entrance with his bloody dagger held in his hand. Open sesame! Ah!
The thieves resolved to cut Kasim's body into quarters to display it inside the cabin. This would prevent anyone else from entering the den. Then, the thieves mounted their horses and galloped off into the dust.
Brother-in-law, please help me. My husband hasn't come back from the forest and I'm terrified something dreadful is happening.
Ali Baba was fearful of what might have happened to his greedy brother, so immediately he set off for the forest. When he approached the cliff, he saw a pool of blood by the door that chilled him to the bone. Open sesame! Inside he found the dismembered body of his brother. Despite Kasim's coldness towards him, Ali Baba knew that according to the religious law of his land, his brother must be buried whole. So without hesitating, he quickly grabbed some cloth to wrap up his remains and set off for his brother's house, with the utmost care to avoid being seen.
There, he was greeted by a clever slave girl called Marjana.
Wait, who is she?
She's Marjana, Your Majesty, a clever slave girl. May I continue my story?
Yes, you may.
Very well.
Marjana, my life depends on your secrecy.
What happened?
These two bundles contain your master's murdered body.
Percy, what happened?
Without raising any suspicion, we must find a way to bury him as if he died of natural causes and whole. For if talk gets out that he was murdered, his killers will come in search of me as his accomplice.
Leave it to me.
Remember, he who is silent is safe.
What shall we tell my mistress?
Leave that to me.
The following morning, Marjana went to the market. She went to the druggist and asked her for a tablet that would cure a deadly disease.
The druggist gave her a small bottle and inquired, "Who is ill?"
Ah, it is Kazim himself, my master. We don't know what it is, but he hasn't spoken a word or eaten a crumb for days. Keep it to yourself. But it's all looking good, I'm afraid.
By early evening, word had spread around town that Kasim was on his last legs. And as neighbors watched Ali Baba, his wife, and his sister-in-law entering Kasim's house with sad, downcast eyes, they were not surprised to hear the heart-rending cries of Kasim's wife and Marjana,
Who announced that Kasim is dead. Early next morning, Marjana went to the market square to visit a poor old cobbler called Bibi Mustafa.
Because she was so penniless, she needed to work harder than anyone else, and her shop was always the first to open.
Good morning. Bibi Mustafa, fetch your needle and thread and come with me quickly. But I must warn you, when we leave the town center, I shall blindfold you.
What the devil are you up to, Marjana? I don't like the sound of this. Besides, I've got my reputation to think about.
Your good name is safe in my hands. Come with me quickly and fear nothing.
Bibi Mustafa stood up and followed Marjana through the early morning shadows to the edge of the town center.
There, Marjana blindfolded her. Then led Bibi Mustafa through winding pathways and alleyways into Kasim's house. Then she was led into the room where the quartered body lay.
What a sight!
Bibi Mustafa, I have brought you here to sew the pieces of this body together.
I
you finish, I shall give you another piece of gold. Marjana led Bibi Mustafa back to the edge of the town center, where she forced her into an oath of secrecy. He who is silent is safe.
Ali Baba and his family prepared Qasim's body and brought it to the cemetery.
And so, the secret of Qasim's gruesome murder was locked away as tightly as the clasp on a miser's purse, and no one in the city suspected a thing.
Ali Baba,
And his wife,
leaving behind a few belongings,
but not their gold,
to live in Qasim's house.
taking care of their sister-in-law,
Her house and all her belongings.
to
Live in wealth and splendor.
Let us leave Ali Baba to the golden fruits of his fortune and return now to the 40 thieves. When the 40 thieves arrived back at their cabin, they were shocked and astonished to find Qasim's body and several bags of gold missing.
Someone has discovered the secret of the cave. We must act now, or all of the effort of us and our ancestors will be for nothing. I know. We'll go down into the town and ask about a murdered man. We'll find out who he was and where he lived. And when we discover his accomplice, we'll put him to a slow, painful death.
Oh, wow. What an extraordinary story, sister. I would love to hear the rest of it.
You will never guess what happens next. I will tell you, if the king lets me live.
Your Majesty,
Doesn't His Majesty want to know what happens next to Ali Baba? Or if the clever slave girl outwits the captain of the 40 thieves?
Vizier, it's met tomorrow at the same time.
certainly, Your Majesty.
The day melted into night.
An hour before daybreak, Dinazad said, Sister, if you're not too sleepy, tell us the rest of your strange and wonderful story.
May I have permission to continue my story, my lord?
You may.
Very well. The captain of the 40 thieves disguised himself and set off for the city at daybreak. He walked and walked.
Until he came to the first shop he found open.
And guess what?
It was the shabby shop of Bibi Mustafa.
Why, good morning, old woman. Imagine seeing you open this early. Why, there's barely enough light in the sky for you to see your sewing. Is it possible, at your fine old age, you have such good eyesight?
You clearly don't know Bibi Mustafa. I may be as old as the crumbling earth, but I still have perfect vision. Not long ago, in a place much darker than this, I have stitched up the body of a dead man.
Really? A dead man? Why would you want to do that?
Ah, you want me to speak, but you should learn more.
Show me his house.
He who is silent is safe. Besides, I was blindfolded. I couldn't see a thing.
Come on! Let me blindfold you again. We'll see if you can retrace your steps. And to the great joy of the captain of the 40 thieves,
Bibi Mustafa stood up and led the captain to the place where Marjana had found her eyes.
and there the captain found her eyes again.
Then step by step, alley by alley, Bibi Mustafa led the captain to Qasim's house where Ali Baba now lived.
The captain sent her on her way, and taking careful note of the location of the house, he raced back into the forest. And there, he told his 40 thieves to go out and buy 20 mules and 40 large leather jugs, one filled with oil, and the rest empty. First, he told them to grind their daggers as sharp as tigers' teeth. Then he told them each to get into one of the jars. When that was all done, he headed back into town just in time for twilight to fall on Ali Baba's doorstep.
Where the new owner was taking in some fresh evening air.
Good evening, sir. My name is Khawaja Hussein. I come from a faraway place with oil to sell at market tomorrow. Do you think I could spend tonight under your roof?
Ali Baba did not recognize the captain through his disguise. Most certainly, my friend. My home is your home. Welcome.
Khawaja Hussein, or rather the captain of the thieves, crept from jar to jar, telling them, have your daggers at the ready. When I return and give the signal, yeah. And then he went inside to have supper with Ali Baba.
Marjana set about cooking a delicious dinner when the oil lamp in the kitchen went out. There was no oil or candles to be found in the whole house, so she grabbed the biggest pot she could find and went to the courtyard to borrow some from one of the leather jars. When she neared the first one, however, the thief inside whispered, "Psst, is it time yet?" Any other slave but Marjana would have bleated like a goat, but she was too clever for that. Without so much as a twitch, she replied, "Not yet, but soon." Jar by jar, she tiptoed around giving the same answer till she came to the jar filled with oil. This way, Marjana learned that there were 40 vengeful thieves in the house and that the so-called oil merchant was their captain. She rushed back to the kitchen and put the pot of oil on a crackling fire. Then, when it bubbled and spat, she took the hot, gloopy oil to the courtyard. Then she went back to the kitchen.
Meanwhile, the captain of the thieves hatched a bloodthirsty plan. I don't need to call my men, he thought. It will give me great pleasure to deal with this cockroach on my own. I'll get both of them terribly drunk until they fall asleep. And then I'll split them in two like a ripe watermelon.
Marjana had seen the knife in the captain's clothes, however, and knew what he was up to. She put on her dancer's veil.
Oh, Marjana, come in. Khawaja Hussein will tell you what he thinks of your performance. Baba showered her with thanks. Marjana, I will offer you your freedom from now on. And my son, who has returned from a faraway land, if he agrees, his hand in marriage.
Far from refusing, his son was delighted.
And a few days later,
With a sacred blessing and extravagant feast, they were married.
This son of Ali Baba, let's say.
so the story goes, Your Majesty.
He marries a crafty and cunning woman. He's surely to be liked you
and tricked and crushed by this scheming slave girl.
Your Majesty, the story says otherwise.
The story is written by a liar!
Sister, I know you have many other tales you can tell. Perhaps you could tell us one tonight?
I've no more time for your sister's prattle. Well, what are you waiting for, my vizier? Bring in the headsman.
What a shame, sister. For tonight, I would have told you the intriguing tale of... Forgive me, Your Majesty, I speak out of turn.
Yes, you do.
I'm sorry, Your Majesty, it's just that it's one of my favorites. One that is the tale of a pretty and faithful wife.
Please, Your Majesty, I beg you!
One moment before you go. What is the name of the story that you are going to tell me?
The story of the little beggar, Your Majesty.
And what sort of story is it?
One to put a smile on the king's face.
Laughter died with my first wife long ago.
The king in this story finds laughter where he least expects it.
Very well, I have a mind to hear it. Vizier, headsman, tomorrow.
Certainly, Your Majesty.
The day melted into night.
An hour before daybreak, Dinazad said, Sister, if you're not too sleepy, tell us another one of your strange and wonderful stories.
May I have permission to tell you my story, my lord?
You may.
Very well. Listen.
Come on! Rare money from around the world!
Human coupling services!
Get your elixirs here, freshly brewed herbal medicine.
Have you seen my snake? Excuse me, where's my snake?
Do you want to know your future?
Come on!
Have you seen my snake?
Ooh, marriage.
Where is my snake?
Pretty girls, I have them all. Ooh, do you want a bride? I can find you a bride. She's very pretty. You will like.
Once there lived a tailor with a pretty and faithful wife. One day, as they were walking in the marketplace, they bumped into a group of jolly little beggars.
If what you want is a good giggle, I will not will, or I will wiggle. You don't need to cry. If I check you out, empty your purse and fill my cup. Forest with me, finger go sweet, don't need to free, just to feel free. Don't put your sorrows, fear not tomorrow. My only worry is to sleep, just to love yourself, breathe, or a bigger drop of me to eat. My faith laid on me now, and grace leads me while yours is tangled freedom. I know what it feels to be free. Are you free?
When they got close, they could smell the wine on his breath and realized he was roaring drunk.
Oh, but the tailor and his wife were so taken by the little beggar that they asked him to come home with them to eat. They all sat down to a delicious meal of bread and fish.
They ate and drank until they had finished everything.
Except for one large fish.
I know. I bet you can't swallow this whole. The tailor did as his wife said.
She led the way through the streets, wailing and shrieking, "I have my child! I have my child! I pray you be cured of this smallpox! I have my child!"
Poor woman!
The child is ill.
It must be smallpox.
Soon they arrived at the house of a doctor.
The door was opened by his wife. Hello, who are you?
Oh, I'm the baker.
Nurse, I am the baker's wife.
Can I help you?
Yes, this is our child. He's currently suffering from smallpox.
I didn't know you had a child, Mrs. Baker.
Well, we keep him locked up, not to see him sick.
Smallpox, you say? I'll get the doctor straight away.
Take the chair, run!
Oh, a light! Quickly, woman, quickly! And running down to his study in the dark, the doctor bumped into his operating table and knocked off the little beggar.
Here's your candle.
Oh, why didn't you come sooner? What do you need me to do? I killed the patient I was supposed to cure! I can't take him out. If people in the street see me with a body, my reputation will be ruined. What am I gonna do?
Well, it's not your reputation you have to worry about. It's your life. Don't just stand there with your face in a pile of warts. If the day breaks and the body's still here, the headless boom as murderers.
What do we do?
I know. You take the body and throw it over the wall of our neighbor's tailors. Cats and dogs often eat an other plate of meat. Maybe they'll eat the body.
Okay, help me!
He's back! Where'd you? Alright, let's dump his body into the river. The river. I can see anything, I swear!
Wait, we'll take him to the tavern. It's dark. I won't see him.
And there, he was challenged to a game of cards by a local patron. Hello, my good man. Let's have a card to play with cards, shall we? For you? Not for me. Two for you. Two
you think you're doing?
It's not my fault, Ultimate. It's cheating.
You kill him! You're coming with me!
Me?
Not you, him!
We're coming with you.
And so the chief police officer threw the man in jail, and the next day went to the king and told him everything she had seen.
The king ordered the man from the tavern to be hanged.
And the chief police officer announced the public execution.
Stop! And the doctor came forward and told them about hitting the little beggar off of the operating table, then taking the body and throwing it over the tailor's wall. Don't hang him! It was me! It was me! What are you doing?
Release the man from the tavern and hang the doctor. Stop! It wasn't the doctor who killed the little beggar. And the tailor explained how the little beggar choked on a piece of fish bone and how his body got dumped over at the doctor's house. Don't hang him! Hang her!
What? Hang me?
It was her idea!
It wasn't my idea!
You started it!
I've never heard the like. Release the doctor and hang both of them.
Wait!
Any more interruption, I'll hang the lot of you. What is it?
The little beggar is still breathing!
Whoa! Wait! Oh, look, I'm a doctor.
I've never heard such an extraordinary story in all my life. And the king was so pleased with the story that he awarded sessions of honor to the tailor
And his wife.
And the doctor!
and the man from the tavern. And sent them on their way, thanking them for such an excellent story.
And the little beggar was appointed the jester of the king's court.
I take you wrong.
And so the little beggar made the king laugh for the rest of his days.
This laughing king is a fool, like I once was. Before I learned the truth about women. Laughter should be a stranger to a king's heart.
Do you have other tales you can tell, sister? Perhaps you can tell us one tonight?
I will tell you one, an extraordinary tale of a man who makes history, if the king lets me live.
Do you take me for a fool, woman?
A fool, your majesty?
Then what makes you think you can trick me?
I think you to be the wisest of men, your majesty.
You think I'm wise by trying to trick me with senseless stories?
If you feel you are being tricked, good king, I shall never breathe another word of a story again.
I will be the one to decide that.
Yes, your majesty.
I choose to listen to your story as and when I want to. And when I no longer want to, you shall die like the rest.
As your majesty pleases.
Vizier, it's man, you may go.
Certainly, Your Majesty.
Oh, and one more thing, Vizier.
Yes, my lord.
Have the day off.
Yes, my lord.
Now, let us celebrate the freedom of our gracious